All right, guys. Wednesday, January 20. What the fucking date is, Joel? January 22nd. It's January 22nd and a Wednesday. A special episode
Happy
of
Hump Day.
Happy Hump Day. Special episode of the Ruts Podcast. We're going to be interviewing a new musician out there, Joel Unleashed, as I wish he named his band, but he didn't.
I didn't want to be selfish. Like I love the idea that you got the Dave Matthews Band, and I was just like, oh, how creative.
Yeah. And when you get in, and we'll get into it obviously, but
Elvis.
when you get people into your band, you don't want to just be like, y'all are all part of Joel. No, y'all are part of Mental Illusion. If y'all real quick, guys, I'm not going to promote our podcast too much. We're really going to promote Joel on this. Go to the Mental Illusion page on Twitter, TikTok, what else?
MentalIllusionBand.com.
Yeah. And the website. I want you to subscribe. Watch some of these music videos. Music videos are fucking great, guys. Songs are amazing. Even his classical's good, and I hate classical.
Oh yeah. I wanted. Well, I guess you could ask me questions.
No, go ahead, Joel. This is your podcast. Go, please. Any point, man. You go into it. You got something to say it.
Okay, so the idea with the way I structured these songs was over 5 minutes because I hated the songs that were too. I mean, they were actually really good, but
Yeah.
they kind of shortened it because they just kind of like went 3 minutes. You're in, you're out. To me, I feel like these songs should be told like a story. You feel the emotion of the song, and so you need the time to kind of soak it all in. And I know that this is like the worst society and culture to like absorb these songs over a long duration. And then I've actually seen like the YouTube analytics, and the longest duration is like 50 seconds. And I'm like, my guitar solos at the very end. You're missing the best part of the song because your attention span is not going to the end. I don't know, man.
From what I would recommend, guys, the best time to listen to his music is when you're
Oh yeah, you like some of the songs, but you're like, I don't like the happy songs.
Well, and what
my mom was the opposite.
Yeah, like to me, if you're on a long road trip and you just got nothing but time,
I have
and
over
space,
2 hours of music.
Yeah, these are the times you want to listen to his songs. If Alone in the Dark, one of my fucking favorites. If you're having a really hard time, and if you're like me, you love the emo style, you just want to feel it. I mean, for my emo, it cuts, guys. If you know what that, if you know, you know.
There's Alone in the Dark. There's Forgotten,
yeah,
and just different songs that strike different moods, throughout the. And I mean, this whole like album was made to encompass like a general idea of like what people feel at different times in their life. That was the whole point.
And that leads into what I was going to ask you, Joel. What was the inspiration for the darker songs? Like what? Because you have some really happy, upbeat songs, but like when you get dark, and like I said, his voice sounds like it's almost Creed-esque on these dark songs.
Well, that's what your wife said.
Yeah. So what drives the darkness? Like what is it? Just do you have to put yourself in a mental space like that, or you just think about you go into detail?
My way of writing the song and singing the song, even writing the music, and kind of setting the tone for the song is all about being empathetic. And I feel like I'm a very empathetic person. So even like not this time, I'm never going to be kind of like, I kind of was in a marriage that was kind of like toxic or whatever. So I could kind of feel some of those vibes, but to truly feel like you were beat down in a relationship, I've never been to that extreme.
Yeah.
So I really had to kind of like empathize of like, what would it feel like if you were just pushed, to your limit of just saying, I need to get out of this, but you feel like you can because, women statistically, stay with, their person
Abusers,
that they, So it's a really hard, emotion to feel, obviously, when I have no business, feeling that emotion because I'll never be there. But at the same rate, I tried to do my best to try to elaborate the tone of the song to the lyrics and just the singing of just, hearing it, being a little bit more scratchy versus more polished. I wanted to, try to sing a little bit more like, stressed instead of, singing with more of like a, like a love song, it was more like, I'm happy to be here. Not this time was kind of like the complete opposite. Like, I didn't want to be here, but I am.
Yeah.
Here. So,
well,
I thought I tried to think about a lot of like dynamics beyond just like, just watching a music video or listening to the
Yeah.
song. It was all about trying to be in that headspace while, with the music, the lyrics, and the actual like performance, that you actually hear or see.
And the reason why I say this, and I know we're close friends, and some of our viewers know I do suffer from bipolar type 1, severe depressive episodes. And I feel like on some of the darker songs, as some people would call them darker, I can really, almost as if like, I feel like you've been there.
Mhm.
And like I said, maybe you haven't, maybe you have. I'm not trying to get into that detail, but you really grabbed the feeling that you feel when you're in those moments.
Yeah.
I think you did a really good job breaking it down and just the lyrics of it all, and then the music you chose to go with it. It was all, it's not like you had this like, and to your credit on all the songs, even the dark ones, you try to bring us back at the end of it. You try to bring us back. So tell me, what was the reasoning of that? Like, why did you bring us back at the end of the songs? Like,
Well, good always wins in the end.
Okay.
I mean, the idea is that nobody ever wants to be trapped in the dark. They always want to have optimistic, because nobody wants to feel like there's no way out. I mean, death is
yeah,
that, but nobody wants to die every day. I mean, there are certain people that are suicidal, and I'm not talking about them, but for the most part, if you're a rational person that is going through a bad time, maybe you lost your job or whatever, you always go, I need to get a job. I need to,
Mhm.
get my crap together or whatever. And you always try to, try to make your life better. Maybe you're in a bad relationship, you need to get into a better relationship.
Yeah.
We're always trying to improve. Maybe I'm not making enough money on this job, I need to get a better job. So that's kind of the premise of like, the Avengers, they were trying to save, even though Thanos, wanted to, I don't know if that makes any sense.
Yeah, no,
but
it makes sense. Well, I like what you said, and I would argue, and I think you'd agree, even suicidal people at that point don't really want to go there. They just feel like there's nothing left. And I think in I listen to a lot of emo music. Some emo music, it just leaves you, I love the feel of the cut, but it leaves you still feeling there. You try to take your listener, if they can, if they listen to the whole song, and I really recommend you listen to the whole song, because otherwise you're
attention span.
just gonna be left dark. But it pulls you. You do a good job pulling out. And I'll go. Let's go to the other songs. I mean, you wrote songs about our military. I'm not correct?
No, the military one. Oh, the patriotic song. That's
Yeah.
more for just, I did include the military because the military defends our
Yeah, yeah.
freedoms, rights, and we wouldn't have a country without the military. So yeah, I did.
So it's more
say,
patriot.
Yeah, it was more of a patriotic song. The idea is just, in with, having, the good outweigh the bad, is I wanted the equal balance of like, being okay to feel that. You have it's okay to be in a bad situation and feeling, not, life is not a buffet
Yeah.
is what I'm saying. That bad times are guaranteed. They're not a if, they're a when kind of situation.
Yeah.
So maybe you listen to the song and it reminds you that, maybe you are in a bad time, but if you better yourself, you'll be in a good
I
time.
mean, you have
later.
a really good song right here. You're my soul. I mean, I think you're.
Oh yeah,
I
that's
think
the
you're.
love song.
I think you're blocking it right here.
Oh,
There you go.
well, there it is.
Yeah, it's all about like the happiness of life. It's not just about the sadness.
Yeah,
Correct?
yeah. So it's about, I mean, being in love and, actually finding not just someone you like or you can just get along with, or maybe you have kind of reasons to get along with that person because of money or property or children or anything of that nature, but it's about finding someone that you can actually like connect with, and not only connect with, but feel like, you can read each other's thoughts, or, and this is why I'm single still. A lot of girls that I talk to, they're there, but they're not really there. And
Yeah.
I'm just like, I can see right through you. And like, I even wrote a song that's called
Yeah,
I Can
no,
See Right Through You.
I'm looking at your list right now. Yeah, I'm looking at your list.
I didn't even know how to did it. I didn't even mean to do that, but I wrote a song that's called I Can See Right Through You, because there's a lot of people that just want to take advantage of you. And I've been, the nice guy all my life. And, a lot of people that I knew in my past, you know, I can see that when that happens now, but back then I was that gullible guy that, just got along just to got along. But I don't put up with crap anymore, in that
Yeah.
regard of being taken advantage of in friendships or relationships or, oh, I just want to be with a girl just so I can, take advantage of this situation or this part of the relationship or whatever. It all ties together. And that's the beauty behind this. To me, this is why I wrote the album the way I did, is
Yeah.
because this encompasses like so much different variations of your life. You have the All In song, which is all about just walking into a room and just saying, I'm here, I'm a force of nature,
Mhm.
and everybody else is inferior to me. And sometimes you got to walk into a room like that when you're going into a job interview, or when you got to impress the dad when you're dating a girl or something like that. You
Yeah.
don't want to overpower him too much. You want to still be submissive to the dad, but you get the point that sometimes you gotta be the adult in the room when everybody else is just acting like a little kid. Now it's easy nowadays.
Yeah.
Society
No, I
and culture.
understand. Never Surrender. Just the title itself sounds so just
So many
intense.
times you
Break
just
it down for me.
so many times that you feel discouraged, and it all, like I said, Alone in the Dark, Forgotten and Alone in the Dark kind of like tie into Never Surrender, because we all feel discouraged, and I feel like a lot of people want to give up. I mean, I've wanted to give up on certain things in life, and some of the lyrics kind of resonated with me with I'm not letting my dignity, and like, I don't want to undervalue my life. I want it to actually like mean something.
Yeah.
So it's all about the feeling of self-worth, and I think that is kind of the premise behind that song.
So I'm gonna kind of get. I want to, because I know this, but for people that are watching this have no idea what you went through. That I'm gonna let you talk about it, but I'll kind of give a breakdown, guys, just so y'all know. This isn't something he just threw together. This isn't something that, in my opinion, that you probably worked a lot longer than since I knew you've been working on it. But like, explain to the people here that this you didn't just write the songs. I mean, you've done every last
yeah.
step. It's kind of just quick overview of everything
So,
you've done to get to here.
So the beginning was when I was in Colorado, and I was just having that $70 guitar, and I was just kind of playing around, and I was coming up with new riffs. That's the chords that kind of come together as to kind of come up with a cool melody. And I was just like, oh, that sounds pretty cool. And I talked to my brother-in-law. They were still married at the time. I don't know if they're going to get back together, but it doesn't matter. So I talked to him, and he's big into music. He's a worship leader at a church and all that stuff. So I was talking to him. He was just like, well, it'd be cool if you could download Logic on Apple or whatever. And I didn't know anything about that. And so I didn't really have much money back then until I got this job that I currently work at. And I got an Apple Mac, and I started using 3 month like trial, and started slowly learning. And I took this like online course to like learn how Logic works, and I started doing like You Are My Sunshine, and like just a couple random hallelujah,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
just different songs. I already knew how to play. Jingle Bells was another one, and I was like, I could do this.
Yeah.
And it just I started adding like demo like instruments, because you can play the piano and add a violin. I think I did that with the Classical Fun too. That was actually just a sentimental thing, because that was me learning. It sounded premature from all the other ones, because
Yeah.
I'd already learned how to do all that classical stuff, but that beginning portion to Classical Fun 2 was me learning. So I left that in there, or decided I didn't even change anything,
Yeah.
because I wanted it to be kind of like a time capsule of me being like, I'm still learning how to do all this. And it's, I don't know. But anyways, I learned how to do Logic. And then the next thing was saving up to buying all the guitars, the piano, the plugins, the drums. I learned how to do the drums. That took a lot to figure out, because what I was doing was I was playing the guitar and trying to put the drums to it, and it took about a week, and it was a little frustrating. What?
Get a thumbs up in the screen.
Oh, we got that stupid thing. I know how to turn that off.
Sorry.
Reactions unavailable. I don't know.
Oh,
Anyways,
it's gone.
well, Anyways, learning out how to do the plugins, that was a new chore, and mixing and mastering, that was a chore. I took a lot of 1 step forwards and 3 steps back. I had to redo 3.5 songs from scratch because the drums are off, and I didn't know what the heck I was doing. I still don't. I mean, every day is a learning experience, but really the whole album, if it was super easy because the music was already like done. I just had to pick, like I was saying earlier, the mood to the songs because I already had like years of already recorded stuff. All I had to do was relearn how to play all that stuff. But really, the hardest part to it was the mixing and mastering because I didn't know what to do.
Yeah.
But then came the idea of PR and promoting. I didn't even know or think about that. So I'm still in the process of coming up with a good game plan of how to do promotion and trying to, because it's marketing and I've never even thought about marketing.
Yeah. And that right there, guys, is why we're doing this episode. We're really needing to push this out here. Get it out there, put it out there. Obviously, we'd love for our podcast to take off, but the podcast is just kind of fun. I mean, granted, we'd love to do this full time, 24/7. We could do 20. We would do 20 if we could live a career off of this. We would do it 24/7. But this music is something he put his heart and soul into. Give it a listen, give it a watch. If you don't like it, that's fine. Maybe share it with the person that they may like it.
Yeah.
This is also, I believe, a venture that he's thinking about becoming into his own podcast form of interviewing. Correct? If I'm not correct, Joel?
The idea behind that was to get people that were, I was going to name it Undiscovered, but I want to talk to all musicians, even if they're discovered or undiscovered or whatever, depending on where they're at in their musical career. The idea was that, there's no podcast that deals with like musicians. I'm sure there is, but I haven't heard of anything.
Yeah, it's not pulling up in your radar.
Well, I mean, it'd just be kind of fun to just talk music and, talk about like what you were just asking me about, like what's your inspiration, what, journey did you travel to get where you are, where you have, a portfolio of songs that what inspired you to write those songs.
So let me ask you, if anyone listens out here that's maybe an aspiring musician, what if you could give them like, this is where I would start, or what would you recommend? Don't get in bed with music producers. I don't know. Again, guys, I'm just asking questions. I used to be a cop, so I know how to question people. So I'm just literally asking questions I would think of, but I have no knowledge of music, so I'm deferring all that to you. What would you recommend if someone out here is young, listening to this, and they're like, I want to do this. I want to become this.
So one of the biggest things that I did with my music, I wanted to be different. I didn't want to be just like, all the other bands that I've ever, and that's super hard to do because even coming up with a name for this music podcast, I don't even know how I even want to, because I've thought of different names, but you wanted to make it make sense. And, if I had any advice is if Muse already exists, let them do their thing. You have to do your thing that separates yourself from all the other bands. And that's the genie in the bottle right there, is creating your own image, your own music, your own like portfolio of, music that makes you. It's almost like your DNA. You have to come up with songs and a band and, your image or your band's image to represent who you are. And that's what my goal is with my music, is not only just to sing these songs or anything of that nature, but to actually like go full throttle with getting to know my fans. And, you have to have these kind of ideas rather than just, hey, I just want a paycheck. And some people, they just throw it together and they want to get paid, and that's fine. Like I know a lot of artists that you can just hear that they're just kind of like, I was bought by a record label and they have a catchy tune and it's a music worm, and that just makes them money, but you don't feel the authenticity, in the music. And that's why I wanted to do the music thing in the first place, was because of that. I wanted to be authentic.
So if people want to reach you beyond our podcast, what do they need to reach out? Go ahead and shout all your socials out.
MentalIllusionBand.com. It's on the actual screen right here. Actually, right there. Well, my mouse is not on the. Okay, never mind. Mentalillusionband.com. Mental Illusions with a Z is how you can find me on socials. I wanted to make it as universal as possible, so you could just type in one. No matter what social media you're on, I'm on Instagram, Facebook. I'm the only reason why I'm on TikTok is for the band, so you can, that I just check that just to see if anybody actually does anything.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't have much faith in the TikTok, so I don't get on there too much.
But that's where they can reach you. And
Yeah.
if of course, if there is any other aspiring artists, we don't have a name for it yet. We could obviously make time to record a thing. I won't be the interviewer. This is the one and only time I'll be interviewing for a music podcast, but I will be in the background somewhere. So
You'll be hovering.
I'll be in the room. So, guys, for the Relaxing to Sun podcast, the Ruts podcast, we kind of go both ways on that. Please like and subscribe this video. Not looking for hate on, like, normally I could care less. Don't be hating on this one. This one is really, and ultimately the episodes would be more or less, we really want to push positivity for future artists. We're not trying to bash future artists. If we don't, even if your music isn't great, I'm pretty sure Joel can listen to it with the musician's ear and, give, I'm assuming I'm not trying to talk about, we're not here to make fun of people like our podcast. This would be more of a, we want to interview. We want to know.
There's one thing about being bad at music, but your heart's in it. But it's another to be like, you just don't really get it. Because I've seen people that they have these like $300 little setups, and then they throw it up to the Spotify, and then they're like, "Oh, I did a
like SoundCloud rappers."
Yeah,
but I doubt you'll be interviewing guys like that. I have a feeling the interviews will be more people that are heart and soul in their music. Not
well, I mean, it's just gonna take a little time to just DM them and get them to want to do something brand new with me. I mean, it's building it from the ground
and
up.
Just to let y'all know, and this goes with anyone at this point that we're not paying you to be on our podcast, so don't. And this is the Ruts. Don't come asking like, well, how much can pay me? We're not paying you anything. This is hopefully a mutually beneficial relationship. We'll obviously anyone that comes around either podcast, you come out, we'll shout you out, all that. We're not making any money, so we're not going to give you money. If we were a bigger podcast, then we could talk about that down the road. But right now, it's just, we're not getting anything from it. So it'd be just a mutually exclusive. Hey, you want to talk to Joel about music, or you want to go into our Ruts podcast, and we can have full on yelling rage debates. I don't care.
Yeah,
we can go out.
We can talk about feminism. Or...
Oh, I would love to talk about feminism. Oh my God, yes.
Or we could talk about how Elon's gonna beat everybody to the Mars and the moon and all that. And if we ever went to moon, that's a big debate.
Yeah, and we could. I would never make an actual podcast of this, but like I said, I do have. We can talk about. We might have an episode down around about mental health and just stuff because we go through. But we'll shut this episode down. It's actually one of the longer ones, but I wanted to give Joel all the time to talk here. Good night, guys.